who decide you want to play it.
Yeah, man, we got it.
It's not actually like from a news station, but it's from a fucking an Axe shipment, like an Axe body spray shipment that fucking exploded this morning in Texas.
Dude, wow. How did I not know about that? Then again, I haven't been online. Dude, I've just been sitting around my house all day, now.
I heard about it on Twitter. Like, I just scrolled on Twitter and I saw it and I was like, okay, well, I'll go look on YouTube and see if there's any footage. And there was like a 30-some-odd second clip. And I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll grab it. Well, we can try to make snide comments about Axe body spray and how it's better used for propellant than it is for, repellent.
Well, I mean, yeah. Oh, God damn it.
I think it's possible for a second.
I think it's possible that I have actually lit more Axe on fire than I have sprayed in onto my body.
Absolutely have.
I gotta confer with you guys on that one.
For real, oh my god, Axe body spray is the worst.
Jesus fucking Christ, it's hot down here.
Alright, yep. So we have no audio still, huh?
No, we have audio. It's there. It's just that this clip, I guess, is just very, very low. Like it's...
Why can I not hear it?
Well, I can't hear it at all.
Well, wait a minute. Oh, wait. You mean actually on this, on our stream and everything? Yeah. Okay, more than likely that's...
No. Like, we can't hear it on the call. We can't hear it on the
call.
The screen share.
Okay, hang on. Let me figure this out. Here,
Titties. Alright,
sharing that one.
I need to pull up the
trying this.
The so-called
Twitch
bromance
stream.
Between President Trump and Kim Jong-un.
We're good.
I hear the word bromance. I hear it.
Alright, perfect.
Good call on that McCain pick, by the way.
Just kind of a last-minute thought. We're streaming, by the way, you guys.
That's cheeky as fuck. I really like that one.
Oh yeah.
What's the song from that fucking Q post? Fucking was it open source?
It's wait, what?
The song from the Q post?
Yeah.
I wish we could open the show with that without it fucking being some bullshit copyright shit.
Maybe we can ask them if we can use it at some point.
Okay, so Sonny, was that the video or was that the us, or what was loud?
Are we live?
Loud.
Yeah, we're live. We're live. 2 minutes.
My bad.
It's all good. I mean, what?
We're live, but we're not in the show yet. We're kind of just making sure everything works before we get started.
I like the tunes. The tunes are chilling.
Yeah.
I kind of figured I'd go with that. All right.
Okay,
too loud or just loud enough?
Are you asking us or Sonny?
Sonny.
Sonny sound check.
I think she said that was good for you. Cool. All right. So then, if we're all good, then we're all good.
I'm opening up my Twitch app.
He's joining in. Opening Twitch.
Oh man, that piano sneaks in on you.
That's a good royalty-free stuff. Yeah. How the fuck this stuff could be royalty-free? Who knows?
Seriously.
We got you covered, Sonny.
I may need to watch the Twitch chat through the Discord. Let me double check and make sure the bot's up.
You're kind of breaking up there.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. And you're going.
It looks like my connection is terrible.
Yep.
Let me try to reconnect.
Do you have downs all of a sudden, bro?
I think it's probably because he can hear himself at the same time. Because if he's watching it on Twitch and all that would always fuck with me whenever we first started doing this. Before we figured out, before we figured out a way that actually worked with it. Screw it. Let's get off of this hold screen. Let's go straight so that way everybody can see each other in the chat. Hi guys, we're all just chilling out right now before we get started with the show proper. Y'all can see each other now. Show's not technically started fully yet. We're just chilling out. So if you guys want to, I don't know, throw some subjects or something for us to chat about or fill our space with. Oh, Breadbox, hey, you're back.
A minute. Ooh.
Yeah, you're able to hear yourself right now, aren't you? As you speak, right, Breadbox?
No.
No, it's just roboting out, and it makes him sound like he's got Down syndrome.
God damn.
How do you know that I don't have Down syndrome?
I don't know, bro. Maybe you're fully functioning and like did some crazy shit. I don't know.
You know what? They need to make misassigning mental, illnesses a crime. You should go to jail for doing that.
Fuck, right, bro? Well, what about all those people
God.
that fucking called Trump, like, crazy and shit? Should they all go to jail?
Well, I mean, that's kind of hard to say. Hard to enforce. Because there's a lot of lefty...
Okay, just don't call Breadbox a retard.
Well,
okay,
thing,
now
right?
I get
there's
it.
A lot of lefty psychiatrists will just come out and do it.
Breadbox,
no,
what's going on?
I just wanted to
Chris, man.
Hey, I'll be intellectually dishonest. It's for a joke.
I don't get it. What?
Oh, fuck.
How is this a thing? How is it this bad intermittently?
Now you're better.
Now it's good.
Oh, yeah. I was just saying it's so bad that I drew it out really long to see how it would sound on the other side. I'm judging by the laughter that I made the correct decision.
Oh yeah.
I was like, damn. You sound like the most stoned person I've ever heard in my life.
It's alright, we're getting there.
Well, yeah. Getting pretty close to it. Oh my lord.
Yeah, that piano just gets you, doesn't it?
It does, it pulls you in, man.
Alright, so I don't know, whenever you guys are set, I guess.
Sunday,
it's the day before Labor Day, so I mean it's kind of a I don't know, I kind of find it interesting. It's Labor Day and we're just kind of sitting over here just kind of chilling out, taking our time.
Well, tomorrow's Labor Day, isn't it?
Well, yeah, tomorrow. But I mean, it's a weekend, 3-day weekend. I mean, or at least on my end, at least.
Oh man, on my end, it's gonna be a rough week. I should announce now. I may have to take 2 weeks off.
Ooh. Well,
wow,
we'll see what we'll be able to do there.
I may be busy. We'll see. We might be able to do something about that, but I got a lot of work coming up. I could possibly do the show research and hand off the notes.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
That's possible.
We
We can do it.
I would think. I don't know. What does everybody in the chat think? Can we do it?
Oh, probably. All right, let's get this show on the road.
All right, good time and a good cue with the end of the that track there. So let's go ahead and transition to our thing. All quiet on the Western Front.
All those moments will be lost in time.
And howdy there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us this lovely Sunday, September the 2nd, the day before Labor Day, 2018, for the Need to Know podcast, episode number 14, I think. Yeah, this is what it says on the screen. 14.
Yeah, 14.
Yeah, there we are. We got Breadbox with us, of course. We got Political with us, of course. You got me, General Tweed. And we're all here to bring you the news we think you need to know. What you got lined up for us today, Breadbox?
Well, looks like North Korea is going to get back up in the #1 spot just because some tensions are heating up. But I gotta say, I'm really getting attached to that opening track.
Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that whole playlist. Just it's just good. It's just nice. It just grows on you, gets you. Anyway, all right.
All right, so last we left off with North Korea, we just switched out our diplomat, basically. The Secretary of State, he appointed someone else to be leading the way on the North Korean diplomatic mission. And now, if I'm not mistaken, recently, Donald Trump called off a meeting between our Secretary of State and their counterpart. So things have kind of been heating up a little bit. There's been some ratcheting up of rhetoric, but it's nothing we haven't really seen before. So it remains to be seen whether or not they actually mean what they say.
Well, let's give it a listen.
The so-called bromance between President Trump and Kim Jong-un might be headed to couples counseling. North Korea's state-run newspaper yesterday accused the United States of staging military drills to prepare for an invasion, while at the same time pursuing a dialogue with, quote, a smile on its face. The U.S. called the allegation far-fetched, but the propaganda piece came just 2 days after President Trump canceled Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's trip to North Korea. So, is this just a bump in the road, or is it time to call a tow truck? Joining me now is the author of Nuclear Showdown, Gordon Chang. Gordon, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Guy.
Well, we were talking during the break. You view this development as a positive thing. Why?
Well, first of all, North Korea was willing to make some symbolic steps, but they weren't really willing to engage the United States in talks about giving up their weapons. And so we had to pivot sometime, and President Trump, I think, pivoted earlier rather than later. That's a very, very good thing, because while we were giving Kim this opportunity to actually do the right thing, we had China, Russia, and South Korea actually violating sanctions. They were very open about it. They sort of thought it was open season on the U.S. I'm very happy that President Trump has said, look, I'm taking control of this situation again.
You mentioned this pivot from Trump. What precipitated that? Why all of a sudden all the glad-handing and some people saying he went too far in cheering Kim Jong-un, and now, boom, the trip's canceled, he's unhappy. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but clearly it happened quickly, because on Thursday, President Trump talks about this new North Korea envoy, and he has the trip for Pompeo going to Pyongyang. And all of a sudden on Friday, we get the tweet which says, look, I've canceled the trip.
Is there intelligence, something the North Koreans are up to?
I think that President Trump knew exactly what was going on for quite some time. He actually said, look, he's going to give Kim a one-shot opportunity. Our president said that in June. And the North Koreans just blew the chance.
Okay, so I guess that goes to my next question. Now what? Oof. Is this whole offer, this whole attempt, this gambit blowing up, or does Trump see this as part of the dance?
Well, it could be part of the dance. We saw in May, for instance, when Kim was really misbehaving, that very provocative language out of Pyongyang. President Trump said, look, I'm canceling the June summit. The North Koreans immediately, within hours, turned conciliatory. Now, this could be the same thing, but I hope that what we're going to go back to is this pressure campaign because, you know, starting from the end of May, the United States actually relieved pressure on Kim. We didn't go after his front companies. We allowed the Chinese and Russians to openly violate these sanctions. The South Koreans thought they could do the same thing. Things really went sideways. So I do hope we go back to maximum pressure.
Yeah, and I think that one of the positive elements of all of this was keeping the North Koreans guessing and off balance. Maybe they were getting a little careful, felt like they were getting away with stuff, and now, surprise, President Trump has pulled a new card out of the deck. Gordon Chang, thank you so much for your time tonight.
All about that new card.
How about that, man?
Oh, that was good.
He's got how many Trump cards do you think Trump has?
You just activated another one by saying that. Don't you know how this works? Like, oh God, it's a chain reaction. Anyway, so that's kind of the new development. A little bit of tug and pull, you know.
Give and take, a little bit
how
of
it
playing
goes.
around, friendliness.
Well, I mean, that's what Trump said from the beginning. He said if they don't do immediately what we say, we're going to restart these drills and back to maximum pressure. So it's just exactly what we expected.
Exactly. So there's actually been a little bit of pressure that's been added on. And I grabbed this clip so that we can kind of see what's actually happening. And this is about, I guess, U.S. military blocked a supply line. Or rather, proposed supply line.
Efforts at trying to de-escalate tensions on the Korean Peninsula have hit another snag. Plans now for an historic railway that was meant to link North and South Korea have been blocked by the US-led United Nations Command. The UN unit has controlled movement across the demilitarized zone separating the North and South since the end of the Korean War, in fact. A joint field study for the project was planned last week, but was cancelled by the US military then. The Inter-Korean Rail project was supposed to improve trade and tourism between the two Koreas. It was also intended to set the stage for future investments in the North if sanctions on Pyongyang were lifted. Human rights attorney Eric Sirotkin told us he thinks the US should stop meddling in the Korean peace process.
These are all breakthrough steps if the United States would frankly get out of the way, which is unfortunate. You can see the incredible efforts and the incredible craving for peace and reunification that we saw in the eyes of the family exchanges recently. We've seen the hopes for peace on so many levels with President Moon and Chairman Kim Jong-un. So consequently, those are being thwarted now as quite a reminder that the U.S. still holds quite a military grip in the region. Are there people within the administration who frankly benefit from instability? Gives a certain kind of edge. It allows a certain level of military spending. It allows us to have our bases paid for by South Korea in South Korea. It allows us to export billions of dollars of weapons there. So consequently, there are always people who are going to fight against peace. But in this period, at this essential time when we're about to have another summit between North and South in September, it seems to me that this is a reminder to both North and South that the U.S. has never given up its wartime authority in South Korea.
Parallel to this, the latest move comes after U.S. Defense Secretary James Mattis announced that Washington has no plans to suspend future joint military exercises with South Korea, drills which the North has strongly protested over the years.
As you
Not
know,
about
we
that
took
fake
the step
peace.
to suspend several of the largest exercises as a good faith measure coming out of the Singapore summit. We have no plans at this time to suspend any more exercises.
Last week, President Trump cancelled his chief diplomat's visit to North Korea, blaming insufficient progress over denuclearization. Looking back, Trump's had something of a love-hate relationship then with leader Kim Jong-un.
We have developed a very special bond.
I feel like he's like up everyone.
Best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury. We will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Have madmen out there shooting rockets all over the place. He is a sick puppy.
A frightened dog barks louder. I will surely and definitely tame the mentally deranged U.S. dotard with fire.
We're both
I remember
honored
Goddard.
to sign it.
Yeah, that was a good. That was a good week or two.
Today we had an historic meeting and decided to leave the past behind.
We're very proud of what took place today. It
All the
worked out for
nostalgia.
both of us far better than anybody even predicted. It's an honor to be with you.
DC in the last year or two has been a bastion of mixed messages, unfortunately. You can't on one hand say, I'm going to trust you, I'm going to respect your sovereignty
It's
as a
Bastion,
nation.
idiot.
And then when two countries start to take steps in that direction, stop and try to block it.
Yeah, try to block it so fake people don't come in and run shit.
Ooh, damn, man. Ugh. And so what? We don't have Mike Pompeo in there anymore at all?
No, I think he's still going to be somewhat involved, but I think it's going to be tangentially. Like, I think he's going to be overseeing some stuff, but not so much being the executive on the ground.
Yeah, that new guy has an interesting background. I forgot I looked into it, but now I have no sauce.
He used to be an advisor for the Bush administration, the George W. Bush administration. So I believe he was an advisor with Iran or something of that nature. So he's got some experience in this field before. Just so you know.
Well, let's see how it goes. I mean, that's all, time.
All right, so we're going to start our Middle East coverage as we usually do. We're going to go to Iran, and we're going to do it a little bit different today. We have a USA Today video that I think works really well for our Iran section, because we never hear good news about Iran, ever.
Wait, you mean we're actually going to have some good news now?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh.
I mean, shades of gray.
Shades of gray.
Like,
okay.
Temper your expectations. Like, women are getting some new rights, but let's not go crazy. It's not like Saudi Arabia where they're allowed to drive.
Oh. All right, well, let's see what's going on here then.
Miniskirts, tight jeans, even bikinis were once highly fashionable in Iran. But since the founding of the Islamic Republic in 1979, women's rights have been severely limited, including how they choose to dress. Women are now required by law to wear a hijab, a veil that hides a woman's hair and neck while in public.
Choose by law.
Tens of thousands of morality police enforce the rule as part of Islam's strict religious requirements. Some women embrace the dress code.
Fair.
Real life
She says
internet moderators.
women should wear hijab, or clothing that fully covers their body. They should avoid improper colors. Wearing the veil is not enough for us. Women should wear less makeup. Also, the way a woman talks to men is part of hijab. Others grudgingly accept the rules while finding other means to express their style.
The whole law
And
to
some
us.
women openly defy the law,
feminists.
despite the threat of incarceration. In May 2018, an activist was sentenced to 20 years in prison after protesting Iran's hijab law. 1 month later, a prominent human rights lawyer was detained and sentenced to 5 years in prison. She was defending several women protesting the hijab. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo spoke of the pushback in a May speech in Washington.
The brutal men of the regime seem to be particularly terrified by Iranian women who are demanding their rights. As human beings with inherent dignity and inalienable rights, the women of Iran deserve the same freedoms that the men of Iran possess.
Among the other restrictions women in Iran face, they cannot travel internationally without their husband's permission. Husbands have the right to stop them from working. In a legal dispute, a woman's testimony as a witness is worth half that of a man's. Some argue, though, that things are getting better here for women. The country has 17 female lawmakers, the largest number since the 1979 revolution. For the first time, a woman runs the country's national airline carrier, Iran Air. And the country has several female ambassadors and a female vice president for legal affairs. Regardless, human rights activists say the pace of change is not quick enough.
Oh boy.
Iran's war of words.
Yeah. I mean, it could be worse, but not by a whole hell of a lot.
Oh boy.
Would be nice if they could at least, I don't know, choose what they get to wear. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, that'd be in a world that only one can dream of. I mean, wouldn't you just imagine it for a minute, wouldn't you?
Oh, one can only dream.
Don't do that to me, goddammit.
Imagine all the people. No.
That was good, man. That was
Political in Willy Wonka's factory. Just, political leaflets that agree with his opinions everywhere.
Yeah, that fits. That works. Oh, hey, Bella.
People
Hey,
that don't want to murder. Yeah, people that don't want to murder you for wearing a MAGA hat.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Dude, so he said the true feminists. And honestly, bro, that fucking rung so true with me.
I mean, let's be honest. The women here in America that are purporting to be feminists are in favor of, the women in those countries wearing hijab.
Yeah, acting like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like how can you be a feminist if you support the most sexist policy on the face of the earth? And I'm not, sitting here going, the U.S. needs to go get involved and tell these people how to run their country, because that's not what we're supposed to do. We're not the world's police. But
I can talk shit on the internet and throw as much shade at them as possible for having shitty policy.
And I mean, these people virtue signal all day. We should, at least, take them at their word, I guess.
Yep.
That's actually a good point.
The other Iran clip that we have is actually an update to our little nuclear situation over there. There are rumblings that there might be. Okay, so the situation is like this: the Iranians have no nuclear deal as is. Their shit's getting stopped all over the place. Their trade deals are getting squashed. Companies are pulling out. They're hemorrhaging money. And so they're doing more and more provocative actions like launching missiles and testing ICBMs and stuff. And so basically what has happened out of this is that they've been backed into a corner, and the Trump administration, now that they're in the corner, has said, we might consider making a new deal with you, a better deal.
A real deal. Real peace. See, Trump ain't about that fake peace,
And
yeah.
Almost like it's an art to him or something. My God. Let's listen in.
Iran's war of words with the United States continues as Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini, says that Iran could completely abandon the deal, that JCPOA deal, if ultimately it does not serve his country's interests. On his official government website, Khomeini saying that Tehran should give up hope that Europe can save the deal that quickly unraveled following President Trump's decision to leave earlier this year. Now, as the Iranians are refusing to negotiate further with U.S. officials, even going as far to call them indecent, and in light of Khomeini's comments this week about Europe, there is concern in the international community that the deal could fall apart, paving the way for Iran to restart its nuclear program. Now, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, though, said Tuesday that European partners in the deal must work faster to develop a way for the United States to get back to the table. So you've got a complex situation here with the supreme leader saying that he's given up hope that Europe can find a solution to save the deal. The Iranian president urging Europeans ultimately to bring the United States back to negotiations. And also President Trump earlier this month saying he's willing to meet with the Iranians, no holds barred, basically saying he will come to the table and have this conversation regardless of what the Iranians would like in terms of preconditions.
Trey, the Iranians are taking physical action in the region in the Persian Gulf. Can you tell us about that?
Well, that's right. It's important to look at UN Ambassador Nikki Haley's words this week, saying that Iran could turn into the next North Korea. This, as the Iranian military announced on Monday that they've gained full control of the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. Ultimately, this is of concern to allies in the region, to the United States, because this is really ratcheting up the tension. The strait there in the Persian Gulf, ultimately used as a major oil export route.
This coming on the heels of an announcement that there will be renewed sanctions, ultimately leading to November, where the Iranians will not be able to export any oil whatsoever under these new U.S. sanctions imposed by the Trump administration, ultimately creating more tension in the region with this war of words that could turn into something larger, certainly a concern of allies here in the Middle East.
Trey Yanks from our Mideast Bureau, thank you.
This crisis, and I think it's...
Jesus.
Crisis.
Jesus. Oh my goodness. Okay, maybe maybe the new way we've got everything set up is not 100% amazing, but it's a step in the right direction, I guess.
Right direction?
Well, I mean, fuck Pakistan at this point in their aid. I mean, if they're gonna act a fool.
Yeah, well, you know. So we're aware. Since we already got a glimpse of it, the next clip is actually about Pakistan. We don't normally report on Pakistan, guys. We don't normally do it. But guess what? Ain't no fucking Israel news this week except for Benjamin Netanyahu's what is it? His daughter? His daughter? I can't remember if it's his daughter or his sister. I have to go look at the news report again. But one of his relatives is being looked at for corruption.
Bing, bing, bing.
And that wasn't. Oh boy.
There's no like real videos about it, and we had other stuff to talk about. So let's.
Do you remember the 400 shekels for the stripper?
Yes.
What?
You can't lend me some shekels for the stripper, bro?
My dad fucking gets you a $20 billion deal, and you can't lend me 400 shekels for this stripper?
Yeah. I think he said 400 for the whore, but yeah.
Whore, whatever.
He's like, give me the shekels. I didn't know they actually
son?
So here's the thing, right? Do they even still use the shekel in Israel?
I have no idea.
I don't
know, that's what I want to know. Is like, can we look that up? Can we figure that out? Can someone look that up and figure out? Like, I'm about to figure that out. And while I'm figuring out, whether or not Israel still uses the shekel, we should catch up with our policy in Pakistan, because we don't usually talk about Pakistan, but we give them a shitload of money every year, and CNN is pissed off that we're taking it away from them.
Let's see what we're getting for our money.
This crisis, and I think it's fair to say there's a crisis in U.S.-Pakistani relations. The United States withholding $800 million in promised military aid to Pakistan because the U.S. is not happy with what you're doing. What are you going to do about it?
First of all, I don't think that it's a correct characterization. $800 million includes $300 million in reimbursements that have just been slowed down. We haven't received a reimbursement since December 2010. So basically, it's just something that's already slow, having been slowed down more. The fact is that both sides...
Are you saying this is not a big deal?
Both
$800 million in aid has been suspended?
Both sides are working together on a number of things. And Pakistan is not happy with the pace of delivery of assistance. Americans are not happy at the pace of delivery of certain deliverables from Pakistan. It happens sometimes. And right now, because Pakistan is a fledgling democracy and everything that happens there hits the media, and similarly, of course, there is an American domestic political context in which everything becomes an issue because of the way people react to your own administration. This has become immediate.
The reaction in Pakistan to the U.S. decision to suspend, at least for now, $800 million in promised aid. A spokesman for the Pakistani military saying, in the past, we have not been dependent on any external support for these operations, and they will continue. Basically suggesting, you know what, keep the money, we don't need it.
Well, I think what needs to be understood is that Pakistan and the United States have a relationship that goes beyond aid. From 1990 to 1999, there was no aid relationship. You remember the Pressler Amendment. And so even then, the U.S. and Pakistan continued to work together, albeit in a limited manner. I think the Americans also need to understand that brandishing aid as a weapon of influence all the time is not a good idea. It insults the people of Pakistan.
Because, $800 million is a lot of money. Could be used to build schools here in the United States.
First of all, the format of this discussion doesn't allow me to give you a breakdown of $800 million, how it comes up to that figure. So all I'm saying is, We cannot have a conversation and a dialogue that is just aid-centered. Secondly, the United States needs Pakistan for a stable Afghanistan, and Pakistan needs the United States to beat terrorism, which we consider to be a menace for our own people. So we need to work together, and both sides are working together. Only problem is, whenever there's a disagreement over the pace of things, it always becomes a much bigger story. My understanding is that the United States government is continuing with all civilian assistance to Pakistan, which, as you know,
but military is a different matter.
which, as you know, is more than $1 billion in promises.
Let's talk a little bit about what has deeply irritated U.S. officials. I know this because they've told me this, that on a couple of occasions at least, they gave intelligence information to your government about terrorists building bombs, secret locations. Within a few days, when your troops went there to do something about it, all the folks were gone. All the bad guys, somebody had tipped off the bad guys about the information.
The important thing is that the troops went there to take action.
But it was too late. It was too late.
Previously, we always heard Pakistan is not taking action. Here's the problem. When Pakistan takes action, it's considered...
But if they take action after somebody tipped off the bad guys.
There is no evidence that anybody tipped anybody off. What we need to do, and that's how governments function, they need to talk to each other, and we are talking to each other at every level. And we have an understanding that we will solve these problems together. But
you know, U.S. officials don't necessarily believe it's a coincidence that by the time your forces reached those locations, the bad guys were gone.
Wolf, my point is that U.S. officials can say anything behind my back. And
they say it publicly, basically.
No one has said it officially. And no one has said it to us that you deliberately tipped them off. They've just said they are concerned that this happened. And that is something, there's a way to resolve issues. And that is a way that we are all working on. What has happened to the U.S.-Pakistan relationship, in my opinion, is that everybody's got an opinion on it. And when everybody has an opinion, there are television talk shows in Pakistan. There's about 30 channels. There are your evening shows every time. Everybody talks about it. In private, the U.S. officials and Pakistani officials are working things out. In public, everything that is negative gets amplified.
Here's something that's very negative, and it caused a huge uproar in Pakistan, and you do have a robust journalistic community in Pakistan. There's a journalist who was named Salim Shahzad. You're familiar with this journalist?
He was a personal friend of mine.
All right. So he was brutally tortured and killed, and Admiral Mike Mullen, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, publicly has accused elements of the Pakistani government of being involved in the killing of this courageous journalist in Pakistan.
Please read the transcript of what Admiral Mullen said. He said, I have read, I have heard. He never said
he has reason to believe.
He has reason to believe based on what he has heard.
That's a pretty strong statement from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
And the government of Pakistan has appointed a Supreme Court judge, no less, to head a commission of inquiry. You cannot put a nation or its government or its state machinery on trial through newspaper articles.
If there is going to be this young journalist,
I am not going to suspect somebody on television. I am only going to say that once there is a commission of inquiry, if the U.S. side has any intelligence on the matter, they need to provide it to that commission of inquiry. If there is intelligence,
here was the chain of events. This is a journalist who was writing critical articles of the ISI, your intelligence service, and then all of a sudden, 2 days after a major article appears, he disappears, and his body is later found tortured.
If something like that happened in another country, and there wasn't the kind of political environment about that country that exists right now here, somebody would have said, adding 2 and 2 in that manner and getting whatever number you are getting is a conspiracy theory. Let the Commission of Inquiry inquire into the matter. Look, Pakistan has a history.
Those might be fighting words, buddy.
I'm familiar with that history as much as you are.
Those are the big guns.
There are issues that need to be resolved, but they will be resolved over time. Holding a gun to our heads, saying that this is going to be about breaking up of ties or cutting off of aid, etc., is not conducive. And senior American officials understand that. The U.S. State Department has said today that we are working towards a cooperative relationship. My only request is that the American media also needs to understand that diplomacy takes its course, and there's a time for diplomacy and a manner of diplomacy.
Is he saying you're fake news, CNN?
I think he just said that.
Putting a nation in the dock.
And a peddler of conspiracy theories.
God damn.
That was a damn. That was
kinda-
that was hardcore. I kind of like that guy. I mean, then again, I don't know how to feel about him.
That.
I don't know how I feel about that guy.
That was pretty funny. Regardless, that's kind of what's going on over there. I kind of figured that's it's like one of the big haps in that region right now.
That was actually very interesting. That opens up a whole lot of talking points there, man.
Oh yeah, lots of things for people to consider and kind of take a look at. Okay, so moving along, we've been. You ever get that feeling that you look at something horrible and your eyes feel like you might have just rubbed your eyeball on sandpaper?
Yes, almost every day.
Yes, definitely.
Usually when I wake up and I get into the bathroom.
I know what you look like, right, Redbox?
Oh yeah, I know. Oh, I know. That's a terrible thing. I'm sorry that you had to inflict that upon yourself. That's bad.
I'm just kidding, brother.
You know that you know that I have mirror insurance, right?
He bought it from me. He bought it from me.
You're the mirror insurance salesman, you fucker. You're just fucking promoting the fuckery of people breaking their mirrors over their appearance by selling them insurance, so they think they need it. Like selling the disease, kind of like pills from the doctor.
Well, I mean, hey, look, some people call it spreading the disease. I call it selling the disease then. But anyway.
You call it fucking paying them fucking bills, right?
Breadbox, I think you went off on a mission to find something for us, didn't you?
My apologies. So every week I try to bring you something that's basically makes you look at the horror of war, and realize how bad it is. No,
are you talking about the new shekel?
Is it really called the new shekel?
Bro, it replaced the old shekel.
We actually we actually found that.
Fact is so much better than fiction. I love my life so much.
Yeah, and there we have let's see here.
The new shekel is divided into 100 agora. The new shekel has been in use since 1 January 1986 when it replaced the hyperinflated old shekel at a ratio of 1,000 to 1.
That's hella funny. All right, so I've been bringing war footage from Yemen, right? Let's get back on track here. Last week last time we were here, didn't we cover the airstrike last time?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so we kind of have a bit of a follow up to that. It looks like the UN is alleging that there have been war crimes committed in Yemen, and this we're gonna let this drama unfold over the course of the next two clips. So let's watch this, and then we can kind of have some commentary, and then we'll watch the next one.
All right.
All parties in the Yemen conflict have committed war crimes. That's according to a damning new report by UN experts. They point to attacks on residential areas in which
they claim
thousands
this is
died
news.
and say more could have been done to minimize civilian casualties. Members of the government of Yemen and the coalition, including Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, may have held or conducted attacks in violation of the principle of distinction, proportionality, and or of precaution that could constitute war crimes. The report says civilians have been hit by shelling and snipers from all sides. The experts are also demanding justice for women and children that were abused.
Sexual violence, documented in the course of our investigation, is appalling. We call that all gender-based violence, including sexual violence against women and children in particular, rape also, be investigated and perpetrators be brought to justice.
Don't stand up down like Obama told you.
Arbitrary detentions, torture, enforced disappearances, and recruiting children. The experts will present their report to the UN Human Rights Council next month.
It was an attack which drew international condemnation and left the parents of 40 children crying over their graves.
Sorry about that.
No worries. So yeah, so there's no real conclusive evidence yet, but they are accusing.
It was an attack which drew international condemnation and left the parents of 40 children crying over their graves. 11 others were also killed in the attack on a crowded market in Houthi-held Dayan in the north of Yemen in early August. Initially, the Saudi-led coalition claimed the attack
this
was a
came out like
justified
16 hours ago
operation
when I found
that was
it.
targeting Houthi leaders.
So
now
this is-
it says it made mistakes.
Fresh.
Pretty new.
The joint team, based on the above information gathered, is of the opinion that the coalition forces should take legal actions to try and penalise those responsible for these mistakes, which cause collateral damage in that area. These mistakes are as follows. First, delay in handling down the execution order, where the execution squadron should have been waiting for the target to approach a clearer area, free of civilians, to avoid unjustified collateral damage, in line with the approved rules of engagement and Articles 57 and 58 of Protocol 1 of the Geneva Convention, the Standard Norms 17 and 19.
The findings came just days after two reports critical of the Saudi-led efforts in Yemen. A UN panel of experts said that both sides in the conflict, including the Saudi coalition, could be guilty of war crimes. And Human Rights Watch accused the Saudi-led coalition of failing to investigate allegations of possible war crimes. It said too often their inquiries lacked transparency, credibility, and did little to stop airstrikes hitting civilians. To be clear, the report does not expressly condemn the killing of the children. It says the airstrike, which targeted Houthi leaders, didn't need to be carried out when it was, because they posed no immediate threat to coalition forces. It says vital information was not passed to the pilot who fired the fatal missile. Saudi investigators say those responsible must be punished.
The joint team is also of the opinion coalition forces should take necessary measures to immediately review, verify the rules of engagement approved by them to ensure the total compliance in all military operations in Yemen.
There are suggestions the Saudis and their allies have come under US pressure to do more to cut the number of civilian casualties. This surprise admission of mistakes may go some way to improving relations. Peace talks are still planned to be hosted by the UN later this month. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera, Djibouti.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Yemen ain't getting better anytime soon, man.
Nope. What's going on in Turkey, though?
Oh, well, there's been a developing story over there. We kind of missed this one, man. We missed the boat on this one. We should have been watching this one from the beginning. It's kind of an interesting story. I don't think it's going to blow up to be massive. And I don't know. I'm not 100% certain that this clip is narrated, so we may have to do a little bit of reading for the audience. But basically, dear old Erdogan is he's like courting the Russians, basically.
All right.
He's shitting on the dollar and he's buying Russian military equipment. And Turkey's currency hasn't been doing so good either.
Redbox, we're having a little bit of robot problems with your voice there, man. Let's go jump straight into the clip while he's fixing this.
Maybe I should go back to the factory.
Burger.
Oh crap, he just came back in while I was saying that. Damn it!
Quick, everybody stop talking about how stupid Redbox is. God damn it.
But it was funny.
Okay. Alright, there he is. Let's find out. Why has Turkey's currency collapsed?
The music.
Turkey is in crisis. The lira hit a record low, losing more than 40% of its value. Okay, I'm not making sound effects anymore.
çok hızlı bir şekilde
He
yükselmiş malı
blocked
satıyorsunuz.
me.
Bir bakıyorsunuz
Prices
2
have
dakika
risen
sonra
very rising. You sell
bir
a
tık daha
product and
yukarıya
2 minutes
çıkıp
later it has
sizde
increased and
bir
it
anormal bir
demoralizes you
demoralizasyon
deeply.
yaşatıyor.
So my costs increased 40%. I'll have to reflect this in my prices.
What's behind the dramatic fall? Fueled by a standoff between Donald Trump and whatever his name was, the U.S. has imposed both sanctions and tariffs on Turkey.
They have not acted as a friend. They have a wonderful Christian pastor. He's a wonderful man, Pastor Brunson. They made up this phony charge that he's a spy.
The sanctions, however, that have been placed on Turkey are specific to Pastor Brunson and others that we feel are being held unfairly.
Turkey's president has accused the U.S. of economic warfare. He has called on his citizens to boycott American products. Videos posted to social media show Turks desecrating U.S. dollars and smashing Apple iPhones. But despite U.S. actions, most economists agree that this was a home crisis.
For a few years over a combination of several financial and political factors.
Erdogan has pursued high growth through major infrastructure projects, often built with borrowed money.
The road tunnel in Istanbul, which crosses the Bosphorus beneath the seabed, has been opened by President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The tunnel cost $1.3 billion.
He believes high interest rates cause inflation. This is something he's long held. He believes that high interest rates are evil. Almost no economists agree with that.
His growing control over Turkey's central bank has worried.
The big change that is coming when it comes to monetary policy is part of that big change the president playing a greater role in the setting of monetary policy.
When the people fall into difficulties because of monetary policies, who are they going to hold accountable? We have to give off the image of a president who's influential on monetary policies.
What? So far, Turkey has the possibility of Erdogan is seeking help from Iran, China, Russia, and the Gulf states. Thanks, The Guardian.
Ding, 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 ding. Everyone that's not NATO.
Ding, 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 ding.
Basically everyone that's not NATO.
Pretty much. Yep. Man, my connection just keeps coming in and out tonight, doesn't it?
Man, it seems like it was affecting me all 1 week, and then now it's affecting you the next week.
I hope I don't get the freaking itis.
Terrible. It's not an itis. Once you have it, you have it for life.
Dude, no, it's the fucking itis, bro. You can say what you want, but it's the itis.
We're kind of...
You're just fucking with us, aren't you? Come on, man.
He's got that internet conjunctivitis. Isn't that pink eye?
Internet connectivitis.
Did you get poop in your internet?
Ugh.
Oh man, this terrible, terrible quality brings me no pleasure.
You sound like you took like 12 muscle relaxers.
Don't laugh at his pain. Don't laugh at his pain. He had to. He had to take the muscle relaxers.
Hey, what does it sound like when you're in pain because Discord shits the bed? Ancient dial-up, like trying to get on AOL.
I don't know, man. I don't ever remember being able to do stuff like this in the 90s. I mean, come on, I got 3 screens now.
Yeah, I don't know if
phones because he's got 3 screens. Oh,
let's roll the clip.
Yes, sir.
The
blocs prepared
Don't
to offer
die,
Britain
boss.
an unprecedented close relationship after Brexit. That from the European Union's chief Brexit negotiator, Michel Barnier. But he says it won't permit anything that'll weaken the body's single market. With just 7 months to go until Britain is due to leave the EU, the two sides are yet to reach a divorce deal. The British ask us to respect their red lines, to respect their decision to leave the European Union, and we do respect them, scrupulously. In return, they must understand that they have to respect what we are, and they are very familiar with what we are. The interior market, the single market, because we constructed it with them. There is no single market à la carte.
They have to respect what we are. Tyrants.
The House of Lords EU committee held an extraordinary evidence session with Brexit Minister Dominic Raab.
I'm confident that a deal is within our sights. We're bringing ambition, pragmatism, energy, and I expect it will be, and if it is not, we get a deal. We're aiming for the October Council, but there is some measure of leeway.
If a no deal is
you're
reached,
not getting the
blocked ports at
Theresa
Calais
May
and Dover
fake
could
Brexit.
squeeze Britain's economy, manufacturing and food supply. It means there could be no agreements to facilitate trade. It could also mean UK goods arriving in France could be left longer in the port.
Now, we're just getting
those
headlines on.
Theresa May actually came out and signaled that she was going to stick with the original Brexit plan too.
Well,
But
she's best because Boris and everybody else left, all pissed off.
oh yeah, well the thing is like actions speak louder than words, and so far like she doesn't seem to be able to get up to go take a shit. She's having trouble. That being said, since we're on the subject of EU and Brexit, I thought now would be a good time to talk about EU tariffs.
Okay, so let's talk.
Nice.
Now, we're just getting those headlines on trade, and Blake Berman is at the White House. Tell us, Blake, what do you got?
Cecilia Malmstrom is the trade commissioner over there in the European Union, Stuart. She made some comments earlier today supporting the European Union's position that they would be okay with zero tariffs on automobiles so long as the United States brings their auto tariffs down to zero. Level playing field at zero. That was from Malmstrom earlier today. You think that that would be celebrated back here stateside. However, I just spoke with a senior diplomatic official who told me that is not the case. And here's why. Let me sort of bring you from the beginning. You'll remember when President Trump started his trade spat with the European Union. At that point, he threatened auto tariffs on the EU. After that, the U.S. ambassador to Germany, Rick Grenell, stepped in and tried to get the Germans on board with lowering trade tariffs down to zero. That happened. Now I'm told that the Italian and the French are on board as well. That's kind of viewed as step 2 in this process, sort of what Malmstrom unveiled today. But here's the big key. Step 3. The president does not view this, I am told, as a standalone issue, rather an issue that needs to be more broadly worked into a bigger trade deal with the European Union. Industry specific that I was told as well that need to be brought down to zero. Agriculture, steel, aluminum, medical equipment. So, what does that all mean? Is it a good headline, of course? Is it good movement, rather, I guess I should say, that the EU is saying, yes, we've got our folks behind this idea of a zero tariff concept for cars? Absolutely. But the president, I am told, does not see it as a standalone issue, and there are other factors out there to get to that point with autos. As you know, Stuart, the U.S. and the European Union right now are sort of hammering out the details of this framework. They are talking, they are moving forward, but it just goes to show the issues and really the details involved with all of it, Stuart.
Good stuff, Blake, because the president wants a broader agreement on tariffs with the Europeans, and that's why the market is
They
not
just
rallying.
don't understand the idea that if you don't scratch my back and
Blake, you sorted it out very well, and we appreciate that. Thank you very much, sir. See you soon.
You got it.
They just don't seem to understand that.
I'm sorry, man. You
I'm
went
excited,
full. You went full robot there, so I could not hear what you said.
Am I still?
Okay, now not anymore. Looks like you're back.
Okay. So I don't think the Europeans understand that you have to scratch someone's back so that they will scratch your balls later. Like, you don't want them punching you in the balls.
So, like, we're viewing this as like you got to scratch. Regardless, there's going to either be another back scratch or there's going to be a punch in the balls.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the way that we're looking at this is like we're on a desert island. We got like one pair of latex gloves, and like homeboy needs to scratch my back because I can't reach it, right? And I turn around, and he's got a tick on his balls. He can't reach it, and he can't see properly. So he needs somebody to go take care of it, right? Well, like, I got two options, right? So, like, if you scratched my back, like, yeah, sure, man. Like, I might, go down and help you out. If not, I might put those latex gloves on and start punching your fucking, speed bag down there.
Get rid of a tick.
I mean...
Go big or go home, goddammit, boss.
I'm just saying.
Don't make me bust out my Elon Musk flamethrower.
It's the hurdy ouch button. Hold on. You mean the boring flamethrowers made by Elon Musk?
Yeah, I guess. I never got one. I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, we're gonna like start asking you about the specs and stuff.
Oh no! They're just called, the company that makes them is the Boring Company. So they say boring on the sides. They're boring flamethrowers.
Yeah.
The best joke ever. Not really.
They actually dig tunnels.
Bro, the way I see it is like go through a forest and fucking bore your way through.
We're going to find out that Elon Musk deployed his boring shock troops to the forests of California. So
right?
Reap the rewards of a giant insurance scam.
Dude, fucking that's funny, bro.
I always knew that he'd grow up to be Dr. Evil. I always knew it. Okay, we're getting off track, though. Like I said, but I was a robot. We kind of been following up with Macron lately, right?
Yep.
I tried to see if there was an update to his scandal story. No. But, man, is he in rough waters. He is not doing so good this summer. He had a couple votes of no confidence. They got, he managed to skirt past those. And then, he keeps getting called out in the media. It's pretty bad because he doesn't know how to duck and weave like Trump does.
Oof.
So, anyway, let's take a look at this because he made another gaffe and it's pissing off his constituents.
The President of France has described some of his own citizens as being stuck in the past and backwards. Emmanuel Macron said
so-called
deplorables goals preventing positive change while praising the Danish economic model on a visit to Copenhagen.
These Lutheran people who have lived through the transformations of recent years are not exactly Gauls who are resistant to change.
Well, those comments by President Macron have not gone down well here in France, with opposition politicians across the political spectrum telling him exactly what they thought, saying that
not only was it contempt for French, but it was like a racist comment.
As usual, he despises the French from abroad. The Gauls will be happy to respond to his arrogance and contempt.
Do I?
People of Gaul,
for the French is
people of Gaul were like absorbed into France.
We're in 2018 AD. There are many unyielding Gauls who are attached to social progress.
I didn't realize racism could exist outside.
It is inadmissible to hear the President of the Republic
definitely.
caricature and
But didn't you
despise
play
the
Age of
French from
Empires?
abroad.
No, actually,
well, many French everyday citizens also felt the hump from those comments from President Macron, unhappy that yet again while he's abroad, he's chosen a venue outside France to criticise what he sees as being the French resistance to his reforms. But what many people thought as being a jibe or contempt for the French people, well, that's not how President Macron saw it. In a press conference on Thursday, he defended his comments, saying that he told the truth, and he said that while people in France don't like permanent adjustments, we are a country when in serious moments of our history we can be transformed. Well, President Macron had been praising in Denmark the Danish system, which means that it's easier to fire people from a job and it also means people that quit their jobs can have social security as a bit of a buoyancy aid. And those are things that he says that he wants to emulate here in France with his reforms which over the last year and a half have seen resistance over and over, with many protests of people coming out to the streets to say they don't want Macron's reforms to proceed.
Whoa.
It's pretty bad, bro. You thought the Trump protests were bad.
Wait, so these aren't actual Gauls coming to defend themselves or something?
Those are French people.
Yet again, President Macron has provoked fierce reaction with his comments at home while he's made them abroad.
Or these people saying, no, we can't change.
Simply believe the gall of the president.
Right.
What the?
Yeah, dude, France has got some problems.
Well, yeah, their president married his teacher.
Oh boy, let's not even start with the possibilities on that one. Okay, that being said, we are now out of our Europe coverage, I guess you'd say. We have really one more worldwide story, and that's this this South Africa follow-up. You remember that Tucker Carlson clip that we played last week about the South Africa the expropriation bill?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Where they're taking the farmers' land, the white farmers' land, and giving it to the black government or something like that. Like, basically, they were like, all right, let's have a reverse apartheid now.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So that got overturned, and Tucker decided to do a follow-up. So I was like, I love Tucker. Let's do it.
Tuckerson.
So we've got an update from South Africa for you. According to news reports, the South African government has withdrawn its farmland redistribution bill less than a week after we on this show reported on the story. The South African government hated our segment and said so. They also hated President Trump's response to it. He tweeted out a response.
Wait.
They'd counted on not being criticized, particularly from America. The story, though, is far from over.
Wait, hold on, wait, what? Wait, hold on.
No,
hang on, I want to play that again. I gotta hear that again.
Hold on. You don't need to worry about it. It's just a little genocide. Just don't pay attention.
We thought you guys were cool with it. What the fuck?
Wait, what? We got an update from South Africa for you. According to news reports, the South African government has withdrawn its farmland redistribution bill less than a week after we on this show reported on the story. The South African government hated our segment and said so. They also hated President Trump's response to it. He tweeted out a response.
They hated your segment.
They'd counted on not being criticized, particularly from America. The story is far from over. Politicians in South Africa are still planning to seize land without compensation on racial grounds. In fact, it seems to be underway. South African media report that one of the
we only stopped the Holocaust once.
Well, I think they think that Obama, or maybe they think Hillary won. Maybe the fucking word's out there that Hillary won.
Of seizing land is to redress historical injustices, and there have been a lot of those in South Africa. But that doesn't apply here at all, and in a lot of these cases, but specifically this one, it does not apply. Steenkamp didn't steal his farm from anyone. In fact, he says he bought it legally 21 years ago. That's significant because 21 years ago, apartheid was over. Nelson Mandela was president at the time. But the government is taking it away from him anyway because he's the wrong color. Western liberals support this. Barack Obama supports it. So does British Prime Minister Theresa May.
Told you.
So does pretty much our entire ruling class and our news media. They're all in favor of collective punishment based on race. And that is the real story here. Much bigger than what's happening in South Africa. The West's response to it. It's terrifying.
Jeez.
Dude, we all remember the African preacher video, right? Everybody knows about that?
Yep.
That's real news. Like, that guy was pissed because Obama was trying to push, like, eat the poo-poo. Oh, man, we're going to have to play that one day.
Yeah, I know.
Got just a tip from the audience. Let's if we're gonna laugh, let's move away from the mic to laugh.
My bad, dude. I was really letting it rip.
It's cool, man. It just means that was that funny then.
I was dying.
It's all good. You just destroyed the audience's eardrums. They didn't need them anyway. We're terrible.
Put them.
All right. So, okay, we're gonna take a moment, and it's gonna be a long moment, and we may not even play the whole clip because it's.
Yeah, I'm looking at
this.
this.
Oh, Jesus, damn it! It's a long one. But
you're gonna have
John
to
McCain died.
In here.
No, I didn't know. Like, I tried to find a clip that included confetti, but I couldn't find a good one.
Going there,
bro. I've never, my whole life, man, I've never been able to like actually celebrate a death.
Everyone is sitting around talking about John McCain like he's this great war hero. He just immediately started telling the Vietnamese everything they wanted to know. I mean, they called him Songbird, for Christ's sake. But, I mean...
Yeah.
We still have to... We still have to acknowledge the guy. I'm not his biggest fan, and I really don't think he did as much for this country as people think he did. But he did have his moments. I don't think we have the moment that I'm going to be... Well, maybe we do. I don't know if this clip has it. There was a moment during the campaign between McCain and Obama where someone called Obama like an evil person or, evil Muslim Satan worshiper or something like that. And he came out and he was just like, look, no, like, he's just another politician. And so I kind of respect him for that, for having good sportsmanship. But that's about it. Guy's a rhino. He's very close with a lot of key high-ranking Democrats. And he votes along the Democratic Party line lately. So, I'm really glad that the Arizona primary is right around the corner. Because he was retiring anyway, but, man, it also makes you wonder, like, how much mental derangement do you need to have before you get removed from office? Because he literally had a disease that was eating his goddamn brain.
Brain cancer.
Yeah, glioblastoma.
God is real, apparently, because John McCain got brain cancer.
Something.
I'm just kidding.
Let's play this clip, and then we'll kind of sit through a little bit of it, and then we'll probably kill it here early. Right. Club it like a fresh baby seal.
Are going to the family of Senator John McCain. Going to be a lot of activity over the next number of days, and we very much appreciate everything that Senator McCain has done for our country.
Those are the very first public words spoken by President Trump about Senator John McCain since he passed away Saturday. Earlier today, this was the president's response when asked about McCain.
Mr. President, any thoughts on John McCain? Mr. President, any thoughts on John McCain, sir? Right this way.
What are your thoughts on John McCain?
Mr. President, do you have any thoughts on John McCain? Do you have any thoughts at all about
Fire alarm! John McCain!
It's like, okay, guys.
Do you believe John McCain was a hero?
Guys, shut up. Oh my God.
And this is network television, MSNBC, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Any action to the American Legion?
Look at this production level. Look at it. John McCain? John McCain.
Wow.
Someone needs to make a clip of the
and lawmakers criticized the White House for raising the flag over the White House to full staff less than 48 hours after the senator's death. After a morning of public pushback, the flag was lowered to half staff again, and President Trump issued a statement that read in part, quote, "Despite our differences on policy and politics, I respect Senator John McCain's service to our country, and in his honor have signed a proclamation to fly the flag of the United States at half staff until the day of his interment." Tonight, a Washington Post report goes behind the scenes as the controversy escalated. Quote, several administration officials said Trump was frustrated with the TV coverage and felt besieged that nothing he said about McCain would be enough. Trump also suggested to advisors that many of those speaking out on television were merely looking for reasons to attack him, and that some of the same people now praising McCain previously did not like the senator. Trump told advisors over the weekend that lavishing praise on McCain would not be genuine, because he did not feel that way. Quote, everyone knows we don't like each other, the president said.
Trump turns McCain's death into another political firestorm about
Trump wrote much of Monday's
news
statement,
is saying
the
that.
official said, and wanted to express that he
Do you remember several months ago when John McCain said he didn't
Senator
want
McCain
Trump
wrote a statement
at his
before he died,
funeral?
meant to be both a farewell to the nation he loved and a warning. Rick Davis, his longtime aide and friend and former campaign manager, read it at a press conference today. Here's some of that.
We weaken our greatness when we confuse our patriotism with tribal rivalries.
We weaken our greatness.
And hatred and violence in all the corners of the globe. We weaken it when we hide behind walls rather than tear them down. When we doubt the power of our ideals rather than trust them to be the great force for change they have always been.
Back with us to talk about all of this is
That
Robert
was a missed
Costa, joining the
opportunity if I
conversation,
ever
Ashley
saw one.
Parker, Pulitzer Prize-winning White House reporter for The Washington Post, and Jill Colvin, White House reporter for The Associated Press. Jill, let me start with you. You were in many of those pool sprays today, and you saw the president, arms crossed, mumbling, thank you, barely making eye contact with Jonathan Karl or anybody else in the pool asking about John McCain.
So they're all shouting at him.
What was it that pushed him over the top? Was it this, as the Washington Post reports, the crush of cable news coverage? Or was it the revolt sort of on his own White House staff that finally got him to make this turn?
Well, it seemed to be a combination of those factors. The president was
It seemed to be exactly what you said. Just go ahead and lead me on. I'll say whatever you want, and click my paycheck at the end of the week.
About him. Do you believe he is a hero? Why is that the only statement that you have to the nation, referring to that tweet that he put out, his only public response up until this afternoon? You could feel the pressure mounting. You could sort of see in the president that he understood and he felt the tension in the room as we were all bombarding him with those questions.
Pause this. Pause this, dumb fucking dumb. She's dumb. She's so dumb. Okay, here's the thing. These fucking people, these goddamn people, they are... You ever seen someone make hay out of the same grass twice?
Nope.
The fucking news media figured it out, bro.
Yep.
Months ago, McCain said, don't come to my funeral. Trump said, I don't think I will either. Seems like a waste of my time.
Yep.
Then there was a bunch of drama. And then, nothing. And now, John McCain, dead. Still didn't want Trump at his funeral. Trump, alive. Still don't want to go to John McCain's funeral. News media, new fucking outrage. Do you guys feel like you're being fed leftovers?
I feel like I'm eating crap right now. This feels like shit. This feels like this is honest, utter shit that is occurring.
It just feels like they're not even trying right now.
They aren't. They just fucking talked about how they themselves were turning this into an issue. They themselves were just talking about that. They were how they're turning it into an issue. It's like, okay, so if you know you're going to turn this into an issue, don't talk about it then. Just shut the fuck up. Focus on something else. Learn how to fucking paint or something. God damn.
Yep, they just need to learn how to make the pizza, report the news.
Oh, god damn.
Alright, so let's listen to something a little bit more fun, I think. A little bit.
I'm literally eating roast right now, so I'm definitely eating bomb.
Nice.
I'm reading their
I got a neat little Ben Shapiro clip in here that relates to this Catholic priest scandal.
All right, coming right on up.
So here's the question that's starting to surface. Hold on a second. This whole thing. Just in case you were wondering, and no, everyone is wondering, because what possibly could a Catholic priest have done? They fuck kids. What a shock!
So here's a question that's starting to surface in this whole thing. How far might liberals go, who are very fond of Pope Francis, to protect him? Once hailed for his progressive views on issues like homosexuality and climate change, he is now facing some very disturbing allegations made by one of his own archbishops, suggesting that he knew about the sexual abuse that was happening within the church ranks, very near the top, and then helped cover it up. Ben Shapiro is editor-in-chief of DailyWire.com. Ben, good to see you tonight. Thank you for being here. You wrote about this. You talked about it on your podcast today. What do you see as the hypocrisy in the coverage on this story?
I mean, it's pretty astonishing. So several years ago, obviously, when the media started to delve into all of the sex abuse allegations against the Catholic Church, there was a great deal of enthusiasm, I think rightly so, in the press for investigating all of that. But now that Pope Francis is at the head of the church, and they like Pope Francis more than they like Pope Benedict in the left-wing press, suddenly they have to rush to Pope Francis's defense over these allegations. So the New York Times ran one of the worst headlines I've ever seen today, talking about how as the allegations against Pope Francis mount, conservatives pounce. How's conservatives pouncing on sex abuse allegations?
Let's put it up on the screen. Go ahead, Ben. I just want to put it on the screen for everybody to see that. There it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing accusation that the story is not actually serious allegations levied at the head of the Catholic Church by other lead members of the Catholic Church over a cover-up of sex abuse of children. Now, the real story is that conservatives might use this to go get an icon for the political left. It just demonstrates that for the left, it does make you wonder whether it's an actual priority to protect children or whether the higher priority is to protect the politics that they see as imperative.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. And I just want to point out that they
already know the answer to that.
The New York Times softened that headline between the online version and the newspaper version. The original newspaper version said, Francis takes the high road as conservative pounce, taking criticisms public. And then I want to play a bit of an interview with Cardinal Blaise Cupich, thank you, Cupich, which is also rightly getting attention for what he said in here, which could have easily just been blasted. Watch this.
The Pope has a bigger agenda. He's got to get on with other things of talking about the environment and protecting migrants and carrying on the work of the church. We're not going to go down a rabbit hole on this.
Wow, we're not going down that rabbit hole. I mean, has he seen the stories that were published about the Pennsylvania diocese and what they did to these children?
How exactly is what Cupich just said not the headline on every major paper in the United States? The only possible rationale is that a lot of members of the press actually agree that when it comes to choosing between leftist politics in the Catholic Church and protecting children, leftist politics have to take the center stage. The reality is that, can you imagine if Pope Benedict had said anything like this, 6-7 years ago when he was the head of the Catholic Church and when these allegations were in full swing against the Boston Archdiocese? Of course it would have been the end of the world. And it should be the end of the world because when people in positions of power are covering for institutional, disgusting and criminal behavior, that should be the end of the world, particularly when it's a religious institution that is tasked with presumably God's word on earth. But instead, the press, at least at the New York Times, seem deeply concerned with protecting Pope Francis from any and all comers because they like Pope Francis. And it's I've rarely seen a more disgusting example of press behavior than this. It's truly an amazing, amazing thing.
It's pretty unbelievable. And when you point out, the movie Spotlight, which got so much attention, which rightfully, as you say, put a focus on what had been happening for decades in the Boston diocese. And then, the church's defense, which really was not credible, we now know, because these things they go on a lot less than they used to, but I don't know that that's really any comfort to anybody because they shouldn't be happening at all. But it was like, it was all decades ago. But now that you're learning that Cardinal Wuerl, who's still being discussed about whether or not he should be able to maintain his position in Washington, D.C., may have known about these things, and that Pope Francis may have known about these things. The same people who were so hard on the church when Spotlight came out and when those stories came to light should be absolutely leading with these stories and asking him these hard questions and pressing people like Cupich. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable. I mean, if Jesus had any central teaching, one of them was that children are the most important to be protected. And in Matthew, he says, if you cause any of the little ones to stumble, you should have a large millstone hung around your neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea.
Again, it's an amazing thing, and I think it goes to the fact that when it was Pope John Paul II or when it was Benedict, then the press didn't like those guys because those guys were very conservative, particularly on social issues. But because Pope Francis is, I think, in his essence, a liberation theologist who believes a lot of left-wing things about climate change and redistribution of income and illegal immigration.
He talks so much, dude.
Him from accusations from the so-called conservative wing of the church, which, after all, is basically just asking the Pope to, I don't know, enforce what seems to me to be basic Catholic doctrine for the past couple of thousand years.
And one of the things that, to gay priests, and he was lauded for that, for sort of opening up the understanding of that. And I think one thing we have to be very, very clear on is that, to be gay is not to be a pedophile. We're talking about criminal pedophile behavior here. And I think everybody on both sides of the conservative liberal argument ought to be able to get on the same side that everybody is against criminal behavior and pedophilia, right?
When you are treating the pedophilia of children and the mistreatment of children, abusive children as a political football in order to protect your guy, I would suggest that you're the evil one in the scenario.
Ben Shapiro, thank you very much, Ben. Good to see you tonight.
Thanks.
Great piece today.
So gays are not pedophiles, but pedophiles can be gays. So if you're okay, so the reverse of that. Let's see here. You know what the reverse of that is? You know, a pedophile that's gay. Do you know what the technical term for that is?
No. What's the technical term?
Kevin Spacey.
Damn it. Oh.
All right, so we got one more clip left, and we got a bonus, a small bonus. Small bonus.
Do you want to set this one up?
Is that what you call it? Your small bonus?
No, that's my girlfriend calls it. Thank you. Is it in yet? Hold on, I gotta get the headlamp. So this week there was I believe two closed sessions with Bruce Orr being interviewed. Was that right?
Yeah, that was
right. With two different committees. So there's not much information out on it yet. There's a shitload of speculation, but I thought we might just go to our guy, Jim Jordan.
See what he's got.
Excellent guy. Yeah, Don McGahn's a really good guy. I knew he was going also, as you know. I had to approve it.
Any concern about what he said to the Mueller team?
No, none of them.
That was President Trump saying that White House counsel Don McGahn, who is leaving shortly after the confirmation of Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. He made that announcement today. That move, he says it was widely expected, but it was a bit of a surprise when it happened this morning. It is fueling speculation about his role in the Russia probe, specifically his extensive cooperation with the Mueller team earlier this month. That was the president was referring to in there, saying that he knew about it and that he sanctioned it, said it was okay. So here now, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, member of the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees, who also spoke with Bruce Orr yesterday. So you've been a busy man. Good to see you this evening, Congressman. Chuck Grassley was very concerned about the White House losing Don McGahn. He said, I hope it's not true McGahn is leaving White House counsel. You can't let that happen at real Donald Trump, he included in there. What do you say about that?
I think Don McGahn's a darn good lawyer. I think he served the president well, but if he wants to leave, and the White House is fine with that, and the president's okay with that, then that's a White House decision. I think the president's got a good legal team around him, Mr. Giuliani, Mr. Flood, and a host of other folks who are helping him out. And I think what we do know is Mueller's investigation now, 15, 16 months,
Emmett Flood, he's a good dude.
Not one bit of evidence that there's been any type of coordination between the Trump campaign and Russia to influence the election.
All right, but you haven't seen the report yet, so you don't really know what Robert Mueller has yet.
We don't know, but come on. I mean, everything we've heard, there hasn't been, but we've learned all kinds of things about what the FBI did wrong, and we learned some more of that yesterday when we deposed Mr. Orr.
Yeah, so you spoke to Bruce Orr yesterday. The president said this about him in a tweet: "How the hell is Bruce Orr still employed at the Justice Department? Disgraceful and witch hunt." Rachel Maddow last night was very concerned about the Department of Justice potentially losing Bruce Orr, and you guys grilling him yesterday behind closed doors. Here's what she said.
Okay, Miss Concerned.
I don't know exactly what these targeted attacks by the White House and congressional Republicans
ultimately
do to the capabilities of the Justice Department and the FBI when it comes to fighting
Definition
things like
of concern,
Russian
fag.
intelligence operations in the United States and Russian organized crime and Russian money laundering through American real estate.
So Bruce Orr was key to all that, and she's very worried that our national security will be in
It must have been hard for that guy growing up with the woman's name.
What we should be worried about is Bruce Orr, senior official at the Justice Department's wife, was working for the firm hired by the Clintons to put together the dossier. And we know the dossier was the key to all of this. And Bruce Orr, Peter Strzok told us in the hearing 5 weeks ago, Martha, Bruce Orr is the guy who funneled parts of the dossier to the FBI. His wife's working for the Oppo research firm Fusion GPS, who's been hired by the Clinton campaign. And we know the dossier was taken to the court. And I'll tell you what we got confirmed yesterday. When they went to the court, the FBI knew 3 important things, and they didn't disclose this to the court. They knew the Orr's involvement in production of the dossier. They knew that Christopher Steele had this extreme bias against the president, and they knew who paid for the dossier, and they didn't disclose those key facts to the court when they went there to get the warrant to spy on Carter Page and the Trump campaign.
That's pretty remarkable. It is remarkable. When someone who works at the Department of Justice is bringing information, and I heard, basically giving the thumb drive, handing over stuff straight from Fusion GPS over to the FBI and saying, here's what we got. And he also admitted in this testimony yesterday that he felt that Steele was biased. So they all know that on that side of the equation. But then when they apply for the FISA warrant, they don't mention that. They don't include that part of, at least, you would say all, but a good majority of what they're basing the FISA warrant on is not, it hasn't been disclosed that the person who told them is very biased.
Yeah, you and I go to court, Martha. We got to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. The FBI should have to do the same darn thing, particularly when they're getting a warrant to spy on a fellow American citizen, and they're doing so, I believe, to spy on the Trump campaign. That is as fundamentally wrong as it gets. Here's the other key thing that came out yesterday. You think about this. Why did Glenn Simpson and Christopher Steele pick Bruce Orr in the first place? Why'd they select his wife to come work for Fusion? They had a direct access. Chris Steele had direct access to the FBI. He was handing them parts of the dossier. Why did they also want to run it through Bruce Orr at the Justice Department?
Good question.
It seems to me to create weight and credibility behind a document that was completely false. If you can now go tell the press and tell other people, a senior Department of Justice official is also
that's out of the bag, gentlemen,
and also passing it on to the FBI, it gives it weight when in fact it was completely a uncredible, unverified document and a bunch of garbage.
Yeah. Understood. So the ranking members of your committee, Mr. Nadler and Mr. Cummings, put out a late statement today. They say we can understand why Republicans are increasingly desperate to create a distraction and undermine the Department of Justice as a hedge against what the investigators might find. Your thoughts, and then I have one more question for you before I let you go.
Wait, we found all this in the same amount of time. How come they haven't found anything yet?
Was fired.
Yeah, they got nada.
Under oath. Faces a criminal referral, fired. Jim Baker, former chief counsel, demoted and then left. Lisa Page, FBI counsel, demoted, then left. Peter Strzok, deputy head of counterintelligence, demoted, then left. Sally Yates, fired. Bruce Orr, demoted twice. These are the key people who ran these investigations. Tell me any other time you've seen a federal agency where that has taken place with the key people at the top who ran the Clinton investigation and who started and ran the Russian investigation. That's the biggest problem. And what we're trying to do is get the answers and the facts so that you can report them to the American people and the American people can fully understand just how bad it was at the top of the Justice Department when this happened.
All right. Let me ask you one more thing. You mentioned Sally Yates. We get a lot of questions about her potential role. Bruce Orr worked for her. We know that she signed one of those FISA requests. Did she come up yesterday, and did you learn any more about how they may be connected in any of this?
We're not supposed to. Yeah, we're not supposed to get into the specifics about it. I will tell you this: Broussard did talk to key people in the Justice Department, particularly on the FBI side, people's names you've talked about, people's names who've been out there, and that was a revelation. And he talked to them early in this process. They were fully informed early on what was happening with this dossier.
See where it goes from here. Congressman Jordan, thank you. Good to see you.
Oof. That, my God.
Yep.
My God, man, how did we? Holy crap, man. That was everything, wasn't it?
That's not everything, but it's getting pretty close. There's just a few dots not connected, and this whole thing's going down in flames.
Oh, we just lost Breadbox. Oh, there he is again.
You lost me for a second.
Yeah.
Do we get the bonus clip out yet?
Oh, no, not yet.
Oh, it's kind of a somber, like suspenseful note to leave the audience on with this Bruce Orr thing, huh?
Yeah, kind of. Extremely. That was. Oof.
I figured the bonus clip might make up for it. I was getting the final show notes together this morning. I was looking at Twitter, and I saw, Lady Luck, Lady Fate had committed a act of revenge against my teenage years, against my childhood for me, and I mean, it's the only way to explain it. It's a phenomenon that only has one logical explanation, and it's that supernatural forces conspired to destroy a shipment of Axe as vengeance for my inability to choose good deodorizing products as a teenager.
You're killing me, bro. Sorry for that.
So I went on immediately after I read that news story and found out that happened in Texas. I had to go find a video of it. I believe I found some raw video of it. But it's only a few seconds, so I figured I'd give you guys just a giant burning pile of Axe body spray as a palate cleanser / send off this week. Check that out.
Axe body spray. On fire.
This
is what it does. Like. Oh my God. Goodness.
I wonder if it's like in that quantity, if it's classified as like a chemical weapon.
I think after that, yeah, why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, right. Well, that's pretty much all I got for you this week, gentlemen. I think we kind of did nicely. We went around the world, showed some people some stuff that they didn't know was going on.
Yeah, that was pretty
definitely good. Trying to fulfill our namesake, our mission.
Do our jobs.
Yeah,
do our jobs.
That was good. Thanks, man.
You guys got any messages for the audience before we peace out?
Don't light Axe hairspray on fire, and don't use Axe to begin with.
Whatever. If you're gonna buy Axe, at least use it to light things on fire.
What you do on your own time is on you. I'm not taking responsibility for that.
Neither am I.
Yeah, I'm not taking responsibility for you doing that.
We're not. Also, we don't take any responsibility for any of that.
This is not financial advice.
All right. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us out there in the chat. And yeah, well, hopefully we'll be able to have a show for you on Friday. If not, we'll let you know beforehand. Hope everybody has a wonderful Labor Day out there. Thank you, Deplorable Sonny, for moderating our chat tonight and, keeping everything nice and light and loose. And Redbox, and I put together an awesome list, and I love the way that we formatted it this week. He has a YouTube playlist that was much better. I like that.
Yeah, I'll do it on our main show, our main channel, so that we can have the playlist available for our listeners.
Yeah.
So they can go back and check out the videos and the source footage.
Yeah, so if there was something that you saw that you wanted to show somebody that you thought, hey, maybe it was interesting, but you didn't want us talking over it or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good way. We'll name the playlist after the episode. So Episode 15, expect to see that playlist up.
Yeah, all right then, ladies and gents. I hope you all had a fun time. We will see y'all next week. Buy water.
Not financial advice.